Footwork Dinner by James Annan. Footwork Dinner is a 2D, top-down, Diner Dash style game where in addition to serving guests, players will also cook and prepare their food in a timed system. Unlike most games with time management, players will also cook and prepare the food in addition to serving their customers' needs, managing the dining room and the kitchen. The player's goal is to successfully run and manage their restaurant while attempting to return a profitable margin at the end of the level. Serving customers as quickly and accurately as possible will reward the player the most. However, taking too long to serve and prepare food, or not preparing the food accurately, could cause the player to lose profits on that level and have to repeat it. The antagonizing forces the player will face are the clock, because the player will need to quickly prepare and serve the food, otherwise customers will become more and more unhappy the longer they wait. Also, any upset customers. Upset customers occur when their satisfaction meter has completely reached the bottom and they refuse to pay or tip, which highly reduces profits. Guests will seat themselves, but it is up to the player to promptly click the table and take their dinner order and send it back to the kitchen as soon as possible. Serving will be a simple mechanic of just clicking the customer when they are ready to order, eat, and pay, and they will show a notification above their table when they are ready to do any of those. Once an order is sent back to the kitchen, players can click on the kitchen button, which will change their perspective to the following. Players will then click on an order and a recipe for the meal will emerge, which must be followed very strictly, otherwise customers may think their food tastes bad and their satisfaction meter will decrease. If a meal is slightly overcooked, the satisfaction meter will increase a small amount, but if it is very overcooked, then it will drop heavily. So for the satisfaction meter to increase, the meal must be perfect or near perfect and served promptly. Players will measure liquids by clicking the proper measuring utensil, like a teaspoon or a cup, and then holding down the button on the liquids they are measuring. If a button is held too long, a player can overfill the measuring cup and cause the meal to be imperfect, and the customers eating that meal will show a decrease in their satisfaction meter. Players will cook meat and boil pasta for the requested amount of time, and if the meat or pasta is overcooked, this will decrease the customer's satisfaction meter as well. Players must properly follow measurements and timers, or their customers will notice and decrease in satisfaction. While a meal is being prepared, there will be a timer to determine how satisfied the customer is with the wait time to eat. If they are waiting too long, again, this will decrease their satisfaction meter. And once a meal is finished being cooked, the player can then go back to the dining room and click the table to have the waitress serve the food. If guests enjoy their meal and their service, their satisfaction meter will rise. But if they are disappointed, then the satisfaction meter will lower. So if a guest leaves with a high satisfaction meter, they will tip bigger and bring in more money to the restaurant. When all guests have been served, paid out, and left, the level will end, the player will collect profits, and the next level will be available. The further levels involve more customers to deal with. So players will use their profits to upgrade things like kitchen utensils, which makes cooking easier for the player. And the challenge occurs when players are trying to simultaneously make 4 to 5 meals at once, while keeping an eye on all the timers, as some meals take longer to cook than others, but it is up to the player to decide which order to cook the meals in based off of their cook times. Some risks we face in developing this game are balancing the systems for the guest satisfaction meter and scoring. Also, deciding whether players should have to serve drinks as well, because this would take away from the element of being the chef, and then more focuses on being a server. As similar games focus on one side of the restaurant, we aim to find a balance between serving and cooking to offer the player double the experience.